Hello? Let me I need to find my headphones, so give me 1 second. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, morning.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, hello?
Hello.
Hello?
I'm here. I just need to get my headphones really quick.
Oh, yeah, take your time.
All right, give me 1 second. So where is this thing? Where are they? Where could they be? There they are. Ugh. Cool. Gotta sell some telephone books around here. Oh, you joined us. Welcome, Rashana Scott.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Pleasure's all mine.
The financial Instagram social media community is kind of small.
Still kind of getting set up over here.
Let's see. I think we're good to go. So it's what, 9 o'clock where you are, Rashana?
It is.
10 o'clock on the East Coast. You're on the East Coast, right? Ashley?
Me? Yes.
Okay, that's what I figured. Very cool. And you're in the DC area?
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't priced you out yet? I heard it's getting like crazy expensive in DC.
It's been expensive for years.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay.
Very cool. Let's do this. It has been expensive for years.
It's been expensive for a long time.
All right. This is the Thai Capital Millionaire Podcast. This is episode number 110. If you didn't know, it's 110 because we've just been stacking up episodes, recording like some crazy people. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, founder, director of Todd Capital Investment Club. Also working with the guys over at HBCU Wall Street to create a company called HBCU Capital. So excited about that. Make sure you leave us a rating or a review. We like 5-star reviews, and we also like comments. So comment, let us know what you like and you don't like. Thank you all for tuning in. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of successful African-American business owners and investors so that people can hear the stories of successful examples because they exist. We want people to learn that business and investing are the true keys to financial success and generational wealth. With us today is, well, my name is Charles, and we're with the co-host at Rashana Scott. So can you say something to the people?
Hey, guys.
Awesome. So today we have episode 110 with Ashley Copeland of Stacks in the City, somebody that I found through the His and Her Money podcast, and I've been following for some time now, and I like her content, but I really like her story because it's so inspirational and it's so, a lot of people can do it, not necessarily because they are her, but because just like the way she did it was just grind, like it's just so dope. So I'm not going to steal the actual, like the thunder of the story, but welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Can you give us a 1-minute bio of like who you are and what you've accomplished thus far?
Sure. Well, my name is Ashley Copeland, and I'm from rural North Carolina. Moved to DC in 2013, and long story short, I own 2 properties here. I own 2 condos here, so I'm a landlord. And I also have about $40-ish thousand in investments. So I have a net worth of a 6-figure net worth. I did that before 30, and I did it all on my own.
All on your own. So
Yeah, and I never earned a high salary. I've never earned 6 figures before.
right, and the greatest thing about your story that I like is you kind of created a high salary because you worked 2 jobs at the same time. Is that
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
how did that work?
So when I first graduated college, I worked on Capitol Hill, and I heard that the salaries there were notoriously low. I just didn't know that, like, at the time you don't really understand like salaries versus like cost of living.
Mhm.
So they paid me the $32,500, but to even get an apartment here with a roommate is a minimum of $2,000 for like a 2-bedroom here, minimum. I'm like, well, this isn't gonna work now, is it? So I had a job at a restaurant. I waited tables at Founding Farmers. So I just started working both jobs um, for like I've been working there since 2013, but I worked there for like 80 hours, worked 80 hours a week for almost a year,
Mhm.
just to keep myself afloat and to be able to afford to live in DC. But during that year, I just saved up so much money, and I was able to purchase my first condo for my, like, a little bit short of my 25th birthday.
Mhm. So your first condo, can you talk about how that helped you out financially? Is that something that you lived in and maybe rented out rooms, or did you bring in a roommate, or how did that work?
So initially, the idea was I really wanted to get into the house sharing space. So I wanted to purchase the home just to put on Airbnb. That was the intention, because I bought it in a really nice location in DuPont Circle, which is a really, really, it's an established neighborhood in DC. So I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter how much I pay for it because I have Airbnb. And long story short, it did not work out like that at all. That was my fault. My place was going under special assessments, which I didn't know what that meant at the time. My real estate agent told me not to get it. And what else did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't really know about condo boards because they said couldn't even do it Airbnb. I think one guy owns like 30% of those units there. So everything I wanted just didn't go as planned at all. And I think that place was more of an emotional purchase than really looking at numbers to see if it was a viable investment. So that home, I kind of had to scramble to find a tenant. So I also did renovations. I was doing too much, but I did renovations on it. So I had to scramble to find a tenant. So I've had a tenant in there since 2016. And I've changed tenants, but I had a tenant in there since 2016. But yeah, that was a mess. I was, like, I don't know if I've ever said that before, but that was a hot mess. But the second place I bought, I did more research in terms of numbers and its appreciation value and how much it would be to rent. And this has been so much better. Like this place that I live in now, and I have a roommate, has been so much better for in terms of investment, like actual investment and return on investment and money coming back, money coming in. So I definitely learned from my mistake.
And so your first purchase, the first condo that you did under your renovations, was that a 203K loan that you did?
I got a 7-year ARM for it. That was the loan. I put 5% down. So it was funny. My real estate agent didn't really tell me about any programs. DC has a couple of down payment assistance programs. I don't know why. I don't know. That was ever a conversation because I sure did put some money down on that. But if I would have known, I wouldn't have, I would have done that. But I didn't know. And I think I also thought I did so much research on home ownership that I thought that you had to have some capital. And I'm so obsessed with paying things back that I wanted to put as much money down as possible so that I could, not pay as much money back on my mortgage in the long run. So I think I wanted to put money down back at the time. But again, now that I understand how real estate can build wealth, it is the least amount of money as possible. But I know that now. I didn't know that then.
So
and that was what, 3 years ago.
Having an investor friendly realtor, I'm sure helps.
Yeah, she was. But the thing is, her expertise isn't necessarily in investing. She does help, single family, first time homeowner type purchase homes. Even to this day, I still stay in contact with her. And the investing space is not her space. It really is to help people purchase homes. So again, that was my mistake. But she's also a fantastic realtor. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be living in this home. I don't know what she put in that offer. She put some sprinkle dust because I shouldn't have got this place.
And then starting out though, after purchasing your first condo, did you know that, you were going to continue to purchase more real estate? Like, was that
yeah.
That was something new?
Oh, I knew. Yeah, I knew. I feel like I wanted to buy a home since I was maybe like 10. And by the time I was 16, I started doing research on home ownership. So I knew I was going to be a homeowner soon. I just didn't know what soon meant. So that it took about like 8 years. I did 8 years later, 9 years later. But I just didn't. That first place was so hard. Like I feel like I was in a boxing match, and like Mike Tyson's out here knocking me out, and I look like me. I'm little, but I just got back up. So I just got up and did it again, and that's why I got this one. So now I really want to purchase a third home, but I just got to get way more creative with the financing and be better with connections and all that fun stuff. I'm probably not going to buy in DC. I'll probably purchase in Norfolk area. That's where my dad still lives, and the real estate's so much cheaper there. Real estate is high. You're right. Like, good God, you get priced out here real quick.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that you wanted to buy a house since you were 10. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, your background growing up. What was that like? Any of your family in real estate? Did they own homes? How did that kind of lay the foundation for, who you are today?
So my parents split up when I was 10, when I was 10 years old, or nine. And my mom moved us, long story short, my mom ended up moving us to rural North Carolina in a double wide trailer. So we lived beside a cotton field, well, crop rotation. So some years it was a cotton field, other years it was a soybean field. So we lived beside this field. My grandmother lives like down yonder's old country home. And it was like, we lived in poverty. It was actually really awful. No offense. We had to, my first year of living there, I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to school because my bus route didn't go that far at the time. I lived too far from school for them to pick me up. And, excuse me, there were times that we were like hungry. I talk about, my mom hates when I say this, but she worked a lot. She worked 2 jobs. She worked as a clerk for Belk, and she also worked as a substitute teacher. And those 2 jobs alone, we were still below the poverty line. And at 3 o'clock, she would stop, come home like for like an hour and make dinner. But one time she made this shrimp, and I remember that was not enough for my siblings and I. We're like, we're hungry. She's like, y'all be all right. We didn't have any food in the house, and there's no way to go to the grocery store. The grocery store's like 30 minutes away. So, and we didn't have a car or no source of transportation. So we were just like on our own. It was actually really frustrating. And we didn't have air conditioning. And we live in, like, it's hot in North Carolina. So I knew, I was like, I can't live like this. This isn't gonna work for me. So I just started reading a lot of books about personal finance. And my whole family's cheap. Like, I'll give us that. My family, we always live below our means. Like, even if the means were like less than $20,000 a year, we still live below our means. So we really didn't have that much, but I felt like we were pretty happy, and I was close to my family, but we were cheap. So I learned how to live off of less. So when I actually graduated and went through college and all that fun stuff, I didn't feel pressure to dress like everybody else or go out or drink. I never felt like I needed to do that. So every refund check I got, I just saved. But my family, they're all cheap. And I think my grandfather was a homeowner, and my great grandfather, he was a homeowner too. I think I know my family weren't sharecroppers, which was, I know it's a big deal, something I'm really proud about. I'm pretty sure we weren't, but they all have a home, but they don't do it in the investor way. For us, the American dream is to, be a homeowner, but you don't know what that entails. You're still paying a 30-year mortgage. You may not be able to afford your mortgage. The property taxes get so high, you got to sell the home. The home has so many issues with it. It becomes a burden as opposed to a way to earn money. And that was kind of growing up. That's how I heard a house. Like, the house needs all this. The house, I had to pay a second mortgage to pay this on the house. The house. So you're like, well, what's the point of me buying a house with all these issues? Can't afford it. So I just learned the other way. There's another way to do it, a way that's more lucrative.
All right. Can you explain to us what the name Stacks in the City means?
Yeah. Yes. So it's so funny. I launched the platform as a way to teach people ways to get their money right, basically. But the idea is that you can be a big city person, live in an urban environment, living your best life, and still be cognizant of your money. Because for me, homeownership is one component of my path to building wealth. I also have investments, but I've also done things that have, in my opinion, have really enhanced me as a person. So I've traveled to almost, I don't know if it's been 30 yet countries, but I've been all over the world. And I go out to eat to really nice restaurants sometimes, and I love to travel, and I like to shop. Well, I don't like to shop, but I like nice clothes, like fashion, and like I love living a life in DC. But I do those things on the cheap too. So I'm like, and a lot of people want to live a, fun DC life, be out, Instagrammable, this, that, and the third. So I'm like, well, how can I show people that you can still do those things, but still have money in your bank account and not worry about your bills and be able to pay back your debt and all of that? How can I show people? So I started Stacks in the City to show that you can still be urban and you can still get your money up. And Sex and the City is my absolute favorite show of all time. I watch that show every day since 2010, once a day. It never fails. And I get picked on for it, but my favorite show of all time. So you can still live this Carrie Bradshaw life, but in a more realistic way. But you have to be willing to sacrifice some time in order to get there. Like for me, my running start, I think, was me being so frugal and me working so much my first year or two here in DC. It wasn't until 2015 when I really started relaxing a little bit more on my work, like on working to enjoy my life. But I still always have work in the back of my mind.
I think is it frozen?
Yeah, it's frozen on my end.
We can still hear her though. Can you hear us? Oh man.
Maybe she had a call.
Maybe. Oh, there we go.
You're back. Sorry about that.
You're back. No, I don't know what happened, but you're back. It happens. Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. So my next question is, what are some things that you're teaching people that allow them to live that life of having stacks in the city?
Okay. Oh, yeah. So let's see. So big picture things. I like to focus on big picture because I feel like anywhere, anybody you talk to will be able to, teach you about a budget. Like Dave Ramsey's really good about that, of course, like debt repayment. You can go anywhere for that. And I can teach you those things too. But I really want to focus more on the big picture aspect of this. So for me, it's if you want to get your money right, there's four pieces to this. You have to be disciplined, you have to be educated, you have to plan, and you have to sacrifice. You have to do all four of these things in order to be better about your money. Planning means having a plan. We're fortune tellers. I don't know if we know that. If you plan something, usually it'll come to fruition in some way. Sacrifice. What are you willing to give up? Is it going out with friends or talking to people or eating out every day? What are you willing to give up to get the life that you deserve? Um, Discipline. You got to be focused on the goal because it's hard. It's hard to be in the house all day. Actually, it's not because you can learn some things being in the house. I'm just saying. And then educating yourself. We have a lot of misconceptions within our communities about money in general. Someone told me that we're supposed to keep a balance on our credit card in order to get your credit up. And that's a lie. That's not true at all. Little things like that. But the more you read, the more you know, and the more you implement what you've learned, the much better off you will be financially.
Right, right.
And so that's like the big picture. Little picture things, in terms of style, like I do love style. Like style, I don't like clothes. I like style. It's a difference. And I'll teach people that you need to go, when the way you go into a store, you need to understand how it's set up so that you can spend as much money as possible. And once you have an understanding of that, then you'll be able to make smarter decisions when you go shopping. So for example, if you go into H&M, there's like a mannequin at the front. I don't, you probably see it once you go in there. I would never recommend someone to go there. Those are Target items. Those items usually are going to be higher priced and they're not going to fit into the wardrobe, especially if you're starting out. And they're probably going to go on sale if they're overstocked, depending on how well the item sells. And they usually have about 3 weeks to a month at that wall. So they may go down. So don't go there. Don't shop there. So I tell people that go into the men's department. Usually men's like professional clothes have higher quality items and they're about the same price. Like button up shirts and things like that. Go to the men's department for that, especially if you are bustier. Little things like that are shopping tips I want to help people with.
That's interesting.
So your platform, Stacks in the City, so is it a program? Like how do people, I guess, sign up or get involved? Like what does that look like?
Right now it's media only. So it's a podcast and a YouTube channel, and it's dedicated to helping people get money. Eventually, I do want to do like a conference, like a money university. So I have a whole day where like it's all money, everything. So I love all things money. So having people like real estate agents and app developers who help people with money in college, like how to save money after graduating, all this. And I have people who could do it. It's just building the audience who want to attend. That's like a really big goal of mine. My ultimate goal really is to teach people as much as possible about wealth building and knowing that I don't know, a lot of people I've noticed, I just really want to get into investing. I hear that all the time. I want to dabble in real estate. Oh, I hate when people say that. I really, but then I start telling them what I did and then they're like, oh, that's it. And they're like, oh, that sounds hard. Or they're like, oh, okay. Or, when you actually start giving them details about what it takes, they're like, oh, I changed my mind, or I can never do that. And that's not true. A year goes by fast. 6 months goes by fast. You may not have to, it may not take as long for you as it does it for me. In fact, for most people, probably won't. For most people earn more money than I did. So it goes by fast. We're already in June, But it's like, I guess thinking about it ahead, it's like, oh my God, never. But it's not necessarily hard. You just have to be smart and you have to really work and focus. That's what I really recommend people to do. That's at the end of the day, how bad do you want it? Some people just want it just to brag. This isn't a bragging thing. If you're working like you're supposed to, you're not really bragging. You're working. You don't have time to brag.
Right. And so I want to transition a bit into your investments. So the 40,000 that you have in investments, how did you get started there? What does that portfolio look like? What even sparked your interest there? Did you know everything before you started, or you just kind of jumped right in?
No, I don't know. No, I didn't know anything. All I went for, so even to this day, investments are still something that I'm not as well versed in. So there's a book I'm reading called Invested by Danielle Town that I do recommend, particularly for women. It describes her journey, basically as a person, a complete novice in real estate investing, and how she slowly comes into understanding the market. It's a year. It took her a year, so I'm reading the book really slowly so that I can like do my own research and all that fun stuff. Anyway, but I do recommend that book. All I knew when I was reading, I read a lot about real estate, not a lot about investing, but I just heard you're supposed to have it be invested in stuff. So when I was 21, I went to Northgate Mall. Everybody in Durham knows about Northgate Mall, to the BB&T, because I had a BB&T account. And I told the bank teller that I had $10,000 I wanted to invest. So at that time, I had $10,000 saved. And she's like, oh, go to the investment side. I'm like, I don't know what that means. And then this guy, Chuck, he was so tickled by me. Because I think I was probably wearing sweats. So I was super casual then. Actually, I wouldn't even say casual. I looked homeless back then. He was like, what is this girl doing here? And I am so small. And I'm like, I just heard about investing and I just have $10,000. So you told me about this Roth IRA, which I didn't know what that was at the time. He's like, it's an investment account that was after tax dollars, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I guess. And then I had a general investment vehicle. And I'm like, all right, I was so scared. I come from a family of cheapskates. I didn't have a bank account until I was like 17 because I was afraid that the stock market would crash and I would lose all my money. Like I was, oh my God, misinformed because apparently they insure you. But I was so scared from that check. And I mean, I still do. I mean, I still put money in there to this day. I took some money out to pay for the second down payment for my home, which I feel some type of way about, but I did put some money away. But I mean, she didn't have a good year last year because the market was down, but it's been good so far now. Right. And but I actually manage that myself now because this book is helping me realize what I should be investing in. And I've looked at some of the funds that I have and I don't like them, so I'm going to change them around. And then I have another, and then I have my retirement account, and I've been putting money in my retirement since I've been working. I didn't take that money out, so that helps. And then the equity in my homes has helped amass and then the cash and stuff I have has amassed a six-figure net worth.
One thing I like about your story is you do it and then you refine it. So you bought your condo,
yeah,
and then the second condo you bought better, and then you started investing, and now you become a more intelligent investor.
Yeah. Oh my God, you have to. Because my thing is, if you do it wrong, like the first time is going to be wrong, or maybe that's probably not the right thing to say, but it's not going to be the best. It's going to be really bad because you don't know what you're doing. You just heard about it. It's all hearsay. So once you do it, you're like stressed, at least my first property. But then you realize what you're supposed to do right. It's like, this is what I did wrong this time. Oh, I'm not a failure. I just need to do this part better. Or I need to loan out the 1% rule. Oh, or maybe I should have bought in a more up and coming neighborhood. Oh, that's it. And then you're like, well, let's do it like that. So even with this place, like for me, I think the price point was high. So I'm like, well, maybe I should get somewhere that's cheaper. So I'll have more capital and there's more opportunity for a bigger profit. So I'm like, oh, so maybe I should go to Norfolk now. Oh, and now I know people in Norfolk. Oh, like that's literally, at least for me, how it works. And now I know more about index funds and what they are. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should be investing more in index funds. And instead of contributing to my Roth IRA once a year, I'm going to break it up to 12 months I contribute each month. So like, oh. Literally, it's just a big O moment. Every day's an O.
Every day's an O.
Yeah.
I think that it's great that you say that because so many people don't get started because they're afraid to make mistakes. And
right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a mistake. Just get comfortable.
But the thing is, so I say this now as a person who did it. But the first time, like I remember buying my first home, I prolonged it. I was gonna tell her no. I remember going and I literally went as a home, like a first time home buyer workshop, and she I just met her there. Next thing I know, I'm over here signing papers. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I was so scared. And the same thing with the Roth IRA. I was terrified because Black people are convinced you're going to lose your money in the stock market. You were convinced you're going to lose all your money. I don't know why you would do that. Convinced. I was convinced too. I read about the Great Depression. That didn't sound good. So I'm scared. And so, yeah, I remember, oh my gosh. So you do push it. I remember like prolonging everything. But I think the first time is the hardest time. And once you realize the first time that you're still living and that it's okay, then you'll do it again. So now that fear and stuff isn't as bad because I've experienced it before and I experienced the aftermath. It's just the first time that's the worst. And I will say it's okay to prolong, but you can't prolong forever because then you'll be poor. And time is money. So stop prolonging. But it's okay to.
Oh, she fell off.
Yikes.
So you still mad? You're back.
Hello? I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I'm really sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, time is money.
So I want to ask you, so with this fear, like you've said it, I don't even know how many times you said, I was scared.
Yes.
So did your family, around the process of you, like, did you tell your family, like, hey?
No, I don't tell them until after the fact. My mom supports everything I do. Every single thing. I'm so blessed to have her because she really does support everything I do. So she was like, oh yeah, Ash, that sounds great. But she has no idea what I'm doing. She's just like, okay. My dad, no, I would never tell my dad. I don't tell my dad stuff until after I come back. Like one time I went to Israel, I didn't tell him until after I came back. I was like, oh, I went to Israel, by the way. He's like, oh, how was that? I don't tell him because my dad he's going to be like, why would you do that? Why? I don't understand why. Oh, that sounds dangerous. That sounds risky. So I can't hear that because it is. He's right. It does sound dangerous. It does sound risky. And he spends so much time watching the news. That makes you want to do nothing. It makes you want to stay in the house and pray. Good gracious. My dad spends a lot of time watching CNN. I can't.
You've done a lot of traveling. How has traveling helped you in your business and your personal finance and your investing?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I think if it teaches you to take risks, I think that's one thing that helps. I think that helped me out a lot is you take a lot of risks because I backpacked Europe by myself. I went to Eastern Europe for 2 months and you have to meet people. It forces you to go out of your comfort zone and meet foreign people or, you don't look like everybody else there. That's true. So I got some stares. And one time when I was in Turkey, someone wanted me to like be their date to a wedding. Because apparently like African darker skinned women are prostitutes there, but they're like seen as very beautiful. Yeah, that was weird. I'll never forget that. But but I've been in so many situations like that, but also you just discover how big this world is. I mean, there's people who are walking and they didn't think about America. They didn't think about the issues that plague our communities or the issues that plague our country or, politics. That's not a thought. They have their own issues or their own culture, I can never get over how different we can be, but at the same time, how much we're all the same. Like, I really can't get over that. I love that, like seeing that. People eating, like we all eat, just what we eat or how we eat is different. Little things like that, like seeing women all over the world styling to the nines. Good God, these women be out here styling. But they don't shop where I shop, or they don't, even the way they shop is different. I'll never get over experiencing that and just being a part of their community, even if it's only temporary. But I love traveling. I'm trying to go somewhere now. I'm tired, DC. Tired.
Have you ever now any of those out of country trips? Have you ever taken any of the?
She'll be back momentarily.
So any of those out of country trips, have you ever taken any of those by yourself?
I say most of them.
Most
of my trips I've been by myself. Especially since I've graduated undergrad.
Wow.
Pardon me, because Yeah, because the thing is, people want, but they don't do. Not, and this everybody, but a lot of people I've met, they want to go places, but they don't want to do it. Like, people flake at the end, like at the last minute. It's like that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend that I wanted to go travel to. I wanted to backpack with her, so I knew she'd be a good person to travel with. But she could only take off 2 weeks from her job, and it was only a specific time. And I'm like, that time isn't the best for me either. And I want to be gone longer, and I don't want to go to those countries because I've already been there. So I had to make a decision, and that was the time where I decided just to do it on my own. And I'm so glad I did, because I've met like lifelong friends. Like I went to Australia and stayed with people that I met backpacking that like 4 years ago. And I went to Australia in February to like see them again. We had a great time, like stuff like that. But people don't want to do it. I'm like, well, I can wait for people, and I don't know how long I'll be waiting, or I could just go for it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I did it. I'm always eternally grateful I did. But that's not I would say most, but that's not every trip.
I think that's so funny because you go from talking about being so scared to make certain decisions, and I mean, you got to travel in the world by yourself. Like, that sounds pretty fearless.
Thank you. It's like I said, it's really that first time. It's the first time is always the hardest time. It's always the hardest time. Even with real estate building, the first property is hard. The second one is not going to be as hard. The third one, like, for me, it will be a little bit of a challenge because I'm going to be doing it probably not with my funds, but I have an idea of what I'm looking for. Like, it's always the first time, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that, like the first time, because there's just no experience behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like a rumor. It's kind of like a rumor. It's kind of like you're like a gossip queen, and it's a rumor, and you're trying to figure out if the rumor is true or not. And some people don't really want to figure that out. They just want to hear what other people got to say. Like, oh yeah, I heard. Oh yeah, girl, I know it. As opposed to going to the source itself.
Right.
But you really got to go to the source itself and like ask, like, so did this really happen or not? And they'll tell you. A lot of people don't want to ask that person though, because they're scared.
Right. And so your next investment, so what does that look like? Is that another condo? Is that a duplex?
So in terms of real estate, I do want to do a single family home. And more than likely, it'll probably be in the Hampton Roads area. Only because I have a contact there who, he knows the real estate space there, and it's so much cheaper than here. And I think it'll be easier. I'll probably like a partnership. It'll be much easier to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
That's real estate. Personally, I'm not working entirely. I've left all my sources of income, my main sources of income, so I can focus on building stacks in the city, because I really want to help people. Like I truly believe that God has put me on. I mean, I think He puts everybody on this earth to help in some way, but I think a lot of us don't realize it, or we give up on the way we think that we're supposed to help people, because it's really hard. At least for me, it's hard. But I really think God put me on this earth to help people find ways to live a better version of their life that they have now. And I want to teach people how to do that. The way I built wealth was very unconventional.
Mm-hmm.
I did it mainly based on waiting tables. That's really what I did at the end of the day. Because my other jobs never really paid a lot, but serving did. And serving taught me that you can have a job and be happy. Like all those things I learned for waiting tables. So I want to use that knowledge to help people make better informed decisions about their lives. And you don't have to be unhappy with your job, or you don't have to be unhappy about your life. You can change it. You just have to make a decision to do that.
So I have a few questions about your actual second property that you live in now. The first is, so you bought a condo the first time and you didn't really have a good experience. What made you want to buy another condo? Because a lot of people are just afraid of investing in condos, but I've always felt like you can make any investment work. Just
for sure. For sure. The thing is, it's fun. I'm sure. Where do you live?
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Where do you live?
I'm in Chicago, and he's in.
Oh, it's probably me then.
Sorry.
Oh,
you're in Chicago. Where? Sorry.
LA.
Oh. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, Chicago, LA. Okay, so you understand. So LA is so expensive. Chicago is like, you can find gems, I've heard. But in DC, for me at least, my budget was $250. My first like $220. So I didn't have a high budget for my house. So I can't afford a home here. Like, I was priced out of homes. I could only afford condos anyway. So yeah, you could definitely make the investment work. I wanted to buy a second home because I knew I could be better.
Right.
I knew it. One time I made this angel food cake, and the first time it turned out so flat, I was so mad, but I knew I didn't whip my egg whites right. So I just did it again. I knew I did it wrong. Like, you know what you do wrong. So the thing is, it's not you. The issue is the process. Like, it's not that you can't do it. It's just for something in your system that was wrong. So you don't have to change yourself necessarily. You have to change the system. You have to think about it that way. I think we beat ourselves up too much. Like, oh, it's me. I'm so dumb. And I felt that way before too. I've had those thoughts before. But it's not you. Usually it's not you. Usually it's something that happened in the steps that just didn't go right. So you change the steps. You don't have to necessarily change. You're not dumb. You just didn't know. So you have to learn. You have to separate the two. This is business. Business, you can't be dumb. We can't say that. Some people are, but they don't say it. A lot of people in business aren't the brightest, but they don't say they're not. They just say they're smart, and people believe them. So you have to think like that.
In regards to financing those properties, because when you go to finance the second property, now you have another liability, and so that affects your debt to income.
Absolutely.
How did you overcome that hurdle?
So that's the thing you can't give up. So I got denied for a mortgage like twice, 2 or 3 times. I'm like, really? And that's the thing. Like, the thing is, you can't take it personally. So I'm like, they really think they're going to tell me no. I don't believe in the word no. It doesn't exist in my vocabulary at all, like at all. And this is where I'm saying my real estate agent really came through, because she had a lot of contacts. So she's like, oh, well, we'll just try this one. Oh, well, let's try this one. Or I'm pretty sure it was like that. So it's like a trial and error. And I talked to one mortgage lender, and I remember to this day, they're like, I don't see what the problem is. I remember like, I don't see what the problem is. I'm like, I don't either. So let's go. Let's do it. So I had the capital. I had, it's just the only debt I had was through my home, and I was getting that covered. They were like, I don't see what the issue is. Like, I don't see the problem. I'm like, okay. So we went through with it, but it took a lot of time. That took a lot of time. And I took out money from my Roth IRA, like I said before, which I personally had an issue with. But, you had to do, I guess I had to do what I had to do. But, yeah, but that was hard. I get denied. No one likes the word no. But
you can use your rental income to make up that gap. Is that true, Rashada?
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I did. That's what they said for me. But a lot of real estate, or at least a lot of loan officers, didn't agree with that sentiment. They just looked at the debt and not the fact that it was being covered. And again, like I think next time again, with creative financing, I'll probably do private lenders, or I might do a hard money loan the first time. I didn't know about these other avenues at the time. I just thought that the way to get real estate was to save up money for a down payment and look for a home and like go the traditional route. But I mean, that's a way, but there are better ways. So I know that next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the next home, the single family, that'll be a rental that you're looking to do?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a really nice little rental, probably in Norfolk or Portsmouth. Cute little military families.
Are you looking for something that needs work or something that's already done?
I'll do a little bit of work, but I don't do that. That's the thing. You have to know. The thing is trial and error. I can paint, but I don't like it. I don't want to do that. It's not a good use of my time. I don't mind paying people to do that, so I can spend my time finding other ways to make money. Mm-hmm. That's how I think of it. Some people, and I will say, because this is a very male-dominated space, like I know you know that. It is a male-dominated space, so a lot of men don't seem to mind at least trying. But my investments are in like meeting people, and especially I have Stacks of the City going. I would rather spend my time doing that than painting. That's just not the time, and the money pieces don't align for me. So yeah, I'll pay someone to do that. No problem.
Yeah, and I think, it's funny you say that. You're right, because, most men don't mind, because if the plumber backs out or whatever, then they're trying to figure it out, how to install fixtures.
Right.
And I'm like, we need to hire another plumber to get in here. Like, period.
Exactly. And I will say, and like you say, men try to figure it out. I'll say that. And I'm like, you don't really know what you're doing. I've told someone that before. They were so mad at me. Like, why would you say that? I'm like, because I can tell. I could tell you don't know what you're doing. So you're spending all this time trying to figure it out, and you don't even want to go on YouTube. Because I had my toilet break one time, and YouTube helped me fix it. Because I didn't want to pay anyone to do it. Because this is my property that I had. I didn't want to pay for it. I didn't want to do it. So I knew it was a quick fix. But they're like, no, I'm just gonna no. And in fact, I actually talked to a real estate investor who told me that he did all his stuff on his own. And apparently now he has to go back and fix it again because he either used like cheaper fixtures or it wasn't done professionally. So now he has to go back and do it again. I was like, really? I don't know who told me this or where, but it was like a couple weeks ago. And he was like, yeah, I have to spend money on getting it fixed again because I did it myself. And it was actually a guy I met in Atlanta. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. So yes, I'm paying professional people to do that stuff for me. Maybe my own stuff I might try on my own, or at least have an idea. You gotta have an idea of what needs to be fixed because they'll tell you anything. But you need to at least have an idea, like, oh, I think the valve is missing. And that's it. Just say you know something, but get the professionals, at least for me.
So
hire people.
So the book Outliers, it mentions the whole 10,000 hours. And I feel like if you were using your hours to become a plumber, then you're losing time that you could be investing into actually becoming great at what you
better invest. Exactly. Right. Exactly. What is it, like working on the business versus working on it? Thank you. Yeah, versus working in it. Exactly. Have an idea though. You need to know a little bit about repairs and their cost. You need to know that, but you don't have to do it, especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I would say the whole you get what you pay for is especially true in real estate. Especially true.
Yes.
Especially true in real estate. You get what you
one more time for the back.
As well as do it right the first time, or don't do it at all, because that's where it can really, really cost you. Like for example, we just had a garage built on one of the properties that we're flipping, and of course we get multiple bids, and we go with the one who gave us a great price, and the concrete screwed up, and I'm pissed. I'm like, nah, he gonna get out there and do it again, period.
That's right.
But
that's right.
Now it's costing us time, right? Versus, and so it's like you're gonna pay either way, right?
Exactly.
It's great now, but whether it's time or actual money, time is money. So you get what you pay for, yes. And in regards to doing that, like you say, you have to know to some level of education, like what knowledge do you know around that specific thing? Because if he's out there, putting in these concrete footings and they're supposed to be this size versus this size, like somebody needs to be overseeing that if we're gonna, go with somebody that's cheaper versus hiring somebody who is the most expensive, who knows every single thing that they're doing. So there's definitely some training and some overseeing involved with that. I think, a lot of times people just go with who's cheaper and then they think it's going to be perfect. And that's definitely not always the case.
So how do you get that person? How do you get the person that their number makes sense and they can do quality work? Are you getting multiple bids? Are you getting references?
Yeah. So for me, I'm still, I think of myself as a little mom and pop investor. I'm still, like I said, I'm still working on building my portfolio. And for me, like I said, like my real estate agent, she may not necessarily, her expertise may not be in investing, but she's lived in this area for a very long time. I can tell she's very well connected with every facet. And what I like about her is that she's the type where I may not know, but I know someone who does know. And like anybody, I'll ask about like cooler, like air conditioning help, or do you know a general contractor? Do you have a repairman, or do you have a different loan officer, or anything like that? She has a number for me, and she has multiple numbers. So it for me is literally calling. I ask some questions, and again, when I first started, I did not know any of this stuff. I didn't know any of this stuff, but now I'll call, ask questions. Can you help me? And if if the vibe is right, then I'm like, I'll do business. Because again, I don't. My contracting knowledge is still very minimal. Like there's still a lot more I can learn. So that's it. And if it works for me, I'm like, okay, cool. Then let's do this again. If not, then there's plenty of other contracts, especially in DC. People are always building something up here. There's someone else.
Right.
You have to find the right match for you, both price wise and you know, how you work with that person, because that's working with someone well is really important too. And then again, as being a woman, they think that you're somebody else. Like they think you're the real estate agent or the listing manager or something like that. So I tell them, like, no, I'm actually the owner. Because some women don't want to say that. Some women are like, you know, just let it go by. But no, I don't have time for that.
Why?
Because that's not what I am. So I don't understand why would I appease you when that's not the case. I don't understand why I need to do that. That's not true. Yeah. You have to, and you know, females, we have to assert ourselves. We don't have to be doing it in a mean way. Some of us do the most, but I get why. But just know, I'm actually the owner. That's it. I'm the owner. And then you move forward with touring or whatever you're there to do.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a friend who owns a business. She doesn't tell people that she's the business owner. She's like, I think my employees would treat me differently. She says that. I'm like, oh, well, I would never say that. I am the owner. Because men do that, and it's not a problem. But we expect, like, it's what it is. So it's cool that I get to help contribute to changing that. We all do, and we all do it some way. You do too.
I don't like to tell tenants that we own the property though, because then they like to call you and put the onus on you for solving their problems. I like to defer that to some imaginary property manager or imaginary owner out there.
That's
like the
see, and I think as I get as my portfolio grows, then I might become that way. But for me, having a relationship with my tenants, I would argue, for me at least, has been a really big reason why I've been able to keep really great tenants and people who are, I think, really loyal, who have been loyal to me. I feel like my tenants I've had have been loyal. Like my first tenant took me out to eat to tell me that she was leaving. She took me out to eat. She's like, thank you so much. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I feel like I didn't do anything. And my last tenant took me out for drinks before we signed the lease. And she's like, this place is awesome. Thank you so much. My place is not that fancy. It's like 300 square feet. I did some of those renovations, so they're not that cute. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, but she's like, it's so great. I just love it so much. Thank you so much, Ashley, blah, blah, blah. She told me about all the stuff she's doing in DC, how happy she is here. And I do things like give her gift cards, like when she first moved in. And I know her birthday, so I'll give her something for her birthday. And I gave her something for Christmas. Those things like that to show her how much because she's a good tenant. And it's an incentive to get her to stay. It's in the back of my mind, I also want her to stay. So I'm like, how can I show my appreciation for her? It's the business. It's a two-way street. You're doing me a favor. I'm doing you a favor. I'm going to show you how grateful I am for you doing the favor, upholding your end of the deal. Because if you weren't, I don't have a problem with kicking you out. But you're so great at, like, you're a great tenant. You don't cause me any problems. Of course, I'm going to show you my appreciation. Of course I think
you have to do things like that. Some people, they're just like, business is business, and I gave you the place, so just pay the rent and leave me alone. But I feel like around the holidays, like, you can invest back in them. You can give them gift cards. You can do different things throughout the year.
Even if it's $5. You know how excited you get when you get that $5 gift card from
Starbucks
for your birthday, that birthday gift card, or Sephora. Rashana, do you know about that Sephora little beauty insider birthday gift you get for your birthday, for your birthday month? I get excited. I love my little samples. People love stuff, especially when it's unexpected. They love it. It makes you want to go back. So I tell tenants to. Exactly.
I feel like you're going to get a return on anything that you give to somebody.
Exactly. Even if my tenant's probably going to leave next year, for example. Worst case scenario, I'm sure she would know somebody who would be interested in living there. I would assume initially that she would be a good tenant before I do all the screening, all that fun stuff. But she's probably going to be a good tenant, she or he. So why not? Like, the investment, like you said, it's, you may not see it financially, but that stuff is important. And every successful business owner will tell you that the relationship piece is the most important component to business. They all, every business, I read so many books about successful businessmen and women, or even those who have small owned businesses in DC. They just tell you the relationships. So I'll work hard to foster good relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I say that in real estate too. I say real estate is a relationship business. And you mentioned, reading a lot of books. So before your next purchase, since, you have since you have two condos, and then you're looking at some creative strategies for creative financing, purchase, what type of stuff are you like researching now or reading up on to get you prepared for that?
So I recently purchased the Bigger Pockets book of real estate investing. So I'm of course I know y'all know about Bigger Pockets. They have their podcast. I listen to their podcast too. I love their podcast. I love their podcast and their forum, their online forum. So now I recently purchased the book, and he goes down to like the basics, like open the door, step out into the house, find a loan offer, like very, very grassroots steps to purchasing a home. So I'm probably gonna skip and go like more to creative financing, but that's what I do. That's what I've been reading a lot more on. But I like real estate the most because it's a tangible asset, so you see the asset, and I don't know. I feel like you get to contribute to your community in some way. You get to give people a home. That's a basic need. That's really cool. I've allowed someone to have a DC experience in a really nice neighborhood, probably their first time living here. That's what I get to do. How rewarding can that be? And it's easy. Like, it's a lot of upfront work, but the aftermath, the years work afterwards it truly is passive. It truly is.
What's interesting is about your story is two things. And the first is that you got what you could afford. And so many people want to invest, but they're saying, I want to invest if it looks like this. And if it doesn't look like this, I'm just going to go rent something.
Yeah, I know. And people in DC are like that too, because DC our market is so high. It is expensive. So even comfort, like getting a 1-bedroom you're going to be priced out. So I get that. Like, I have a friend who bought a home and he was like, no, or he wanted to buy a home. He's like, it has to be a 2-bed, 2-bath. It has to be, I can't share a bathroom. I can't share a bathroom. I said, well, I guess you can't be an investor.
You got to get uncomfortable. You got to get out of your comfort zone.
You do, because you have to trust that you're scaling. So, I don't want to live in a 2-bed, 1-bathroom forever either, right? I don't want to have a roommate forever. But I know that what I'm doing now is setting up a foundation where I don't have to. And not only I don't have to, but I don't have to worry about where my money is coming from or be stressed out because I can't afford it. I just have to be patient. And that's why I love Warren Buffett, because at the end of the day, he's a patient man.
Right.
Real patient. But that's truly, exactly. That's how he got rich, though, from patience. So I will become wealthy through patience as well. Because I lived in worse conditions than this. Like, I have a beautiful home. My neighborhood may not be the best, but it's not too dangerous. And I walk to the train. But people don't want that. They want the glitz and the glamour and the updated kitchen and the fancy this, that. Which is, if that's what you want, that's fine. But you're not sacrificing. Again, you have to sacrifice something.
But the crazy part about it is, imagine if you would have just rented for those few years and rent would have increased every year, you'd probably still be working right now. You wouldn't have the luxury of saying, I'm going to take off time and build my business.
Exactly. And I get some flack for that. You're like, oh, you're so privileged. I'm like, I am privileged. But at the same time, like, people really didn't see how hard I worked when I was like 22, 23, and 24. They didn't see me. And I didn't talk about it because I was so busy working. I was so tired. You don't see that. You just see the look. But you don't see, like you said, the tip of the iceberg. But you don't really see what goes underneath all of that. But yeah, to me, that's the biggest blessing. That's what I'm saying. Like, if like America, the followers, you guys, the audience, y'all, just take some time and grind, and you will reap the benefits for the rest of your life. Your life. That is wild. 1 year, 6 months, even 3 months, you will see a vast amount of improvement. That's what an investment is. That's exactly, investment is investing something to reap the benefits for the long term. That's all it is. That's anything in your life. Anything in your life.
Nice. So I think we pretty much covered everything. There's a few wrap-up questions that we have.
Yeah.
Actually, there's some questions I want to just fire off at you because I didn't ask them, but they're really important.
Yeah. Fire.
So the first question is in regards to your radio hunt. How did that go? Because you're looking to get on the radio, and I saw you on Instagram, and you're looking on interviews and whatnot.
Yes, it's so funny. So I'm still on the prowl, but I know it's going to happen. So this woman actually, she actually DM'd me and she gave me her whole media list. She's like, "Oh, I can see you try. I really want you on TV." And she just gave me her whole media list. So now I've been working off of that. I'm like, wow, like it's crazy what happens when you're vulnerable and put yourself out there. Because that wasn't my intention. I just wanted people to know. Like I feel like on Instagram and in general, people only see the outcome of your work. So like I said, people see the 2 condos and they see me not working as much, but they don't see how hard I was working in my early 20s. So I want to show people basically the same process. Like this isn't fun. You're going to get rejected. But I wanted to show people that. Like I really wanted to show people that this is what it takes in order to get the life that you want. I just didn't expect people to be out here like, I really didn't expect like I can't tell you how many like support, like, yes, you got, I was not expecting that. So, but I'm still working on that. I'm still in the process of it. And I'm still pitching myself every day, but it's gonna happen, but not today, but it's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. So thank you for asking.
And while you're doing that, you're still building your own show, right? So you still have your own podcast and your own meeting.
Absolutely. Yes. So I still have my show. I release my show on Wednesdays, and my YouTube channel I just launched a month ago, and it's the same thing, Stacks in the City, and I release an episode every day.
That's smart. I like that.
Every day. Yeah. Oh my gosh, do you not know how hard it is? Radio is so much easier. Like podcasting, so much easier because I can look like this. Yeah, I'm in a bonnet, y'all, in case you're wondering. But I'm like, it's just so much easier. You can just be in your bed and record it, and like all your thoughts, like it's just there. Whereas with YouTube, you have to have a look, and then you have to edit. I'm like, oh, I hate doing those things. I hate looking and editing. But it's fun. It's super fun because I feel like I can interact with my audience more, which is what I really, really like. I really like that part.
You met Don Peebles, and what was that like?
Oh my gosh, I'm shaking hands with a billionaire. I don't know if I should have said that, but wow. The thing about him is that, first of all, he has a wealth of knowledge, and it can be intimidating when you're first starting to talk to a person like him because he was saying stuff I would like way over my head. Way over, but his scale, he's had way more experience trying trial, error, try, fail than I have. So of course his learning is going to be way more vast. So instead of I was very intimidated. I'm not going to lie, but I had to take a step back. Like, why are you intimidated? This man has like 40 plus years on me in terms of experience. So I'm like, so I read his book. So the book I do recommend The People's Principles because you really put your head in his mind, your mind in his head when he like was your age or younger when he first started. And it was the same. I took a risk. I was scared. I did it anyway. And as he got more successful, he got more confident. So he's able to be in front of people and talk all this, spew all these numbers and get his numbers guy. And I'm like, and then he got out, like he left, he got in his car. I was like, oh my gosh. And he had like security. I was like, this is a lot going on for me.
That's cool.
These are things about in my head as I see people. The car, the detail, the security.
You know, it's so funny. I think I felt that way when I met someone who owned like a lot of real estate here in Chicago. He owned like hundreds of units. And you're right, you're intimidated because at first you're like, well, I don't know anything, and I damn sure don't have some units or 500 some units under my belt. But I think it's also important to stop and remind yourself that, you're there for a reason. You're in the room for a reason because you want to learn. And exactly. So you're there trying to soak up all the information that other people have. You gotta get out of it what you came for, and you get rid of the fear. You gotta, go up, shake people's hands, and know what you don't know, or know the fact that you don't know it all. But be excited because you're there to learn.
To be better, yeah.
Yeah, so often we get intimidated by looking at other people's chapter 10, right? We look
Exactly. And you're on chapter 2.
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
like there's levels to this.
Literally.
Like
Exactly. I don't know, have y'all heard of Brene Brown?
No.
She was on Super Soul Sunday, but long story short, she's a professor in vulnerability studies. And she spends her entire life talking about fear and vulnerability and how those things are important in creating growth and becoming successful, basically. And she has a TED Talk out. I recommend listening to that. And she has a Netflix special. That's how I heard of her. That she spends an hour talking about fear and vulnerability. After I heard her talk about that, I'm like, what? You have to understand all these thoughts are in your head, and that it's okay to not know. It's okay. And like you said, that's why we're there. That's why I was there, so I could be confused and wonder why he was talking to me. Because it was like, why do you want to talk to? That's why I was there, like you said. And you want to be around those people because they will keep you vulnerable because they're going to push you harder to be better. That sounds so cliche, but it's so, so true. I felt like a billionaire after I left. Even though I took the metro, but I felt like a billionaire too. Because I was just in a room with like somebody who was so focused on becoming wealthier and making an impact as an entrepreneur. And he still goes back to his community, which some people don't always do. But he does, which I really respect.
Yeah, you got to go with security though. You can't be going out there butt naked.
You can't be free, right? You can't be free balling it. I tell you, you got to have a little bit of something, right? Even if it's an interest and a good reason why the interest is there.
Right. All right. Last 4 questions. I'm gonna fire them off. What is your favorite business book, or finance book, or real estate book?
Oh my gosh! Think and Grow Rich is probably one of my in terms of mindset. Think and Grow Rich bought me my second property. Reading that book, hands down. Talked about the burning desire, and it doesn't matter what it takes. Just get there because you're so focused on the goal. Blah blah blah. The details don't matter because it's the goal. I was like, wow. And I think I read that book in tandem with purchasing my home. I was reading it a little bit before, and I was like really reading. I was like, wow, this book. And I really do credit that book for purchasing my second home. I don't think I would have purchased it. I would have thought it's not possible because people tell you can't do that. And you can't believe people. Just because you can't do it doesn't mean I can't. But that book really made that book changed my mindset. That book is the reason why I think the way I do to this day. Definitely Think and Grow Rich. Definitely.
Love it. Who is somebody that you look up to and why?
I would say my mom for sure, because my mom, she made a lot of sacrifices for us. I don't think my mom ever thought she'd be a single mom. She's not like that. My mom's not very domestic. No, like but she still worked 2 jobs to support us. My mom used to go pick me up from jazz practice. My mom would, I used to work at Cracker Barrel. She would stay waiting. She didn't have a car. She would wait for 2 hours sometimes for me to get off work. She would do stuff like that after working 2 jobs, after working all day. She did stuff like that, and she would never miss any of my jazz performances or any school plays. She would take off all her jobs to be there. My mom has always been there for me, even though she doesn't really know half the stuff I'm doing. She doesn't know what's going on. She's confused, but I know she supports me. She actually told me about this talk that Oprah gave recently that she thinks I should listen to. Mm-hmm. And my mom is she's just all about it, even though she won't admit it. I love my mom.
What sets apart successful investors from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
So successful ones try. They read, they do. They read and they do. So everything they read, they implement. Everything they hear from people who have done it before, they do it themselves. And the thing is, the person who did it or the person who you read may have this beautiful, like a brick home. They have a brick home, like the little pig, the wolf. They have a brick home, and your home is the straw home that gets blown down. But you're like, okay, but then you go back to them and then you read again what they did, and you look at your straw house, and you're like, all right, well, I guess maybe I should use different materials. But you can't afford the fancy materials, so you get what you can, and then that don't work out. And it's like that. It's like that. They literally just, it's a whole bunch of trial and error. But as you try and error, the trial and error gets better and better. But it also gets bigger and bigger, so the risk is bigger too. But they just try and do, and they learn from what they do. Try, do, learn. Try, do, learn.
What does wealth mean to you?
Oh my goodness. For me, wealth means choice. It's having money is not selfish. It's not miserly. It's not bad. It truly means that you have way more of a choice on how you want to live the life that you were given, that you were birthed. That's it. You know, when you're wealthy, you can choose to work or you don't have to. You can choose to travel. You can choose to spend more time with your families. For me, my ultimate goal is to donate calculators. Well, not ultimate. One of my goals is to donate calculators to my school. So I remember writing grants growing up in 8th grade for people to donate calculators for us. And I'm like, I don't want to ask people for this ever, ever again. I want to be the one giving people money, giving people calculators, giving people funding. So it means being a philanthropist. It means giving back financially to those. It just means choice. It means a choice to have a happier life.
Right. Awesome. Cool. So thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you for taking time out of your day.
Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you in person.
Oh, man. I lost you again.
Hello?
You're back. You're back.
Oh, yes. Honestly, so nice. So nice meeting you all. So nice.
Where can people find out? What do you want to say, RS?
No, I was just going to say thanks so much for coming on the show. I think, you know, some of the things that people took away or should take away, definitely sacrifice, definitely jumping out there, risking, you know, it all without knowing everything, without knowing anything really. Getting around the professionals that know, you know, if you don't know everything, which you don't know and which you won't know, definitely get in touch with someone who does, or a few people who do, you know, and you can consult with about the many questions that you'll have. So thanks so much for sharing that.
No, awesome. Thank you.
Where can they find out more about your company? Where can they follow you on social media?
Yes, so Stacks and the City is my podcast and my YouTube. So it's Stacks and STACKS and the City, YouTube and my podcast. So subscribe to both. And my social media handles all are Stacks in the City, but it's the letter N, Stacks and the City. So definitely check me out. And I have an event. If anybody's in DC on the 27th, I'll be at the Cleveland Park Library talking about real estate investing there. So please come. I love to meet people. I love meeting people.
Awesome. What events do you have coming up, Rashana?
So I have a bus tour, doing a bus tour in Chicago. I have a lot of investors flying in. So gonna be taking some folks out to tour some different properties in the city. I'm going to check out some of my projects. Actually, one of my investors who's flying in from New York, who I've never met before, will actually be stopping by the project that she's invested in. And then the next day on Sunday, July 14th, there's a real estate yacht boat party that I'll be speaking at. And I'll be speaking on raising private capital, and there'll be some other amazing people there. There's a real estate attorney who is who'll be there, a couple wholesalers. So yeah, I want to say that is what I have coming up as far as events and as far as what's going on in July. Yeah, so you guys, I'll be posting about the flyer and all of that stuff and all the links and stuff. So probably
very cool. Shout out RS. Also, we're doing the LA meetup in July 9th. Erica Williams will be out here at Erica Williams. So check us out. We're going to be at Shaquille's, and she's also hosting an event at the WeWork where she's going to be talking about truck investing. And I will likely be there talking about long distance real estate investing. So this has been episode number 110. My name is Charles Oglesby with Rashana Scott and Ashley Copeland, signing off.